Okay, we're going to simplify this. In some respects, it might be easier than the other day. In some respects. These down here, I believe, will be easier than we did the other day for some people. Here we go. What we have to do is we have to factor. This is a factoring assignment, okay? So let's factor the top. And you guys remember this so well because you're geniuses. And when I say factor a trinomial, what does it mean to factor something like this? What will it look like? Yeah, you're going to see some parentheses, right? That's the key word I was looking for. You're going to see something like that. When I do that, when I draw this out, it kind of clicks. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah," right? And if it doesn't click yet, if I put this and this there, then it should click, right? What are we looking for in the numerator? We're looking for two numbers that, okay, add up and multiply to different numbers, right? Now, so we're looking at 64, two numbers that multiply to equal 64, and add up to negative 16. Yeah. They must both be negative. On the bottom, before I go over here to this step, I'm going to factor a common factor out of the denominator. Somebody tell me what all three of these have in common. 4. So I'm going to divide them all by 4 first. Over here, I know there'll still be a 4. And then I'm going to factor what's left over. Right. Yep, very good. So what you'll typically find in this assignment is that something's going to cancel. Okay? So if something's going to cancel, that will mean that one of the factors down here is going to match one of the factors up there. Okay? So we need two numbers that multiply to equal 8 and add up to negative 9. Minus 8, minus 1, like that. We've done stuff like this a million times. Not a million. That you can probably be really good at it by now then. And we're just kind of okay, to be frank. But after this, we're going to be awesome. All right. Now, before we cancel and write our final answer, I want to pause to answer the bottom part of this. Okay? This is no different than what we did the other day. Remember, the question is, which values of x make the expression undefined? An undefined expression, especially in a fraction, is when the bottom is equal to 0. So what we're doing here is we're figuring out what would make each one of the factors equal 0. What would this one be? X equals and x equals. I need to do this now before I cancel. Okay? The same way that we did it the other day, but it's not a monomial. It's a binomial. All right, so we have 8 and 1. Those two answers. Easy enough, right? Okay, the last step, let's cancel. We can only cancel 1 for 1. Okay, so some people generally will ask this, can I just cancel all of them? No, right? The reason we cancel is because something is divided by itself and it's equal to 1. So here's our final answer. We have x minus 8 left over on the top. On the bottom, oh no, nope. Nope. On the bottom we have 4 times x minus 1. Like that. Okay? Just like that. Everybody come up here. Look at my computer. Is that on? Video's still going. The projector. Is it on? Yeah. Okay, it'll turn back on. Everybody see? There's our final answer. Everybody must look. Right? Easy enough?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. There you go. Is it back on yet?
No. Is this COVID safe?
It's on.
It's the end of the world.
I think
It's the end of the world.
If I get quarantined again because of this, it ain't happening. I'm coming to school.
Let's continue. All right, so this looks a little different. But we're still going to factor this. I'm going to remind you of something right now. Who remembers how to factor something like that? It's a special factor. Yeah, +3 and -3. How would I factor something like this? If it is like 25. X plus 5 and X minus 5. Awesome. Very good. Right? So when you have two things like this, where it's not a trinomial anymore, you can still factor it if it's x squared and minus. It's called a difference of squares. And those factors are the opposites of each other, right? Okay, so rewind. Here we go. Back to the beginning. What I want to do first is I want to find a common factor the same way I did on the last problem. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to write this. I'm going to take out a -2. I'm going to take out a -2 so that I can switch the order of these things. I want the y squared to be positive. So if I factor out a -2, this is similar to what we did Monday. Tell me what else is left. It'll be a -16. That's right. Right. I'm dividing them both by -2. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, but I don't have to divide by a negative because y squared is already positive. So it's going to look like this. How many 5s go into 80? 16 is correct. Now let's factor them on the top. I just did an example very similar to this. Let's factor y squared minus 16. Tell me. 4 and awesome. On the bottom, guess what? It's the same flipping thing. Matter of fact, if we were just simplifying, we could have just canceled right here. But there's two parts to this problem, right? And the other part of the problem isn't just simplifying, it is finding what makes the expression undefined. And now that I've factored, I can answer that. Okay, what's one of them? 4, and what's the other one? 4, -4. Bingo. Now, again, everything's canceled because they're both the same. So the only thing left is the number, right? The fraction. 2/5. There you go. Okay. I think.
It's still a -2.
Yeah, it was still -2. Yeah. I think we can try it. Just go through the full question list real quick. I want to show you and prove it to you. Most of them look the exact same as what we just did, right? Or some combination of both. Remember, when I'm looking through these, I'm looking for common factors that I can take out first. That's the first step. So if I'm looking down here at this one here in the middle, what should I divide the bottom by first? Probably 7, right? And I know that you don't know that 7 goes into 441, but it probably does. Okay. Okay. Something like this. Divide them all by 9 first, and then try to factor. Just an X first. Go down. Right there? Then you don't have to factor out a common factor first. It'll just be something like this. So let's do that one. I'll do the top. So if I'm factoring this, it would be, I need two numbers that multiply to equal 64 and add up to negative 16. Oh gosh. So it'd be minus 8 and minus 8 like that. On the bottom, I would do that same thing, but before I did that, I would factor out a 4. Okay? Deal? All right. Here we go.